It's happened, folks. It's happened. Rocksteady has been hit by layoffs after Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. And one of these individuals, as you can see with the subheader, was even made redundant, kind of code word for let go or fired, while on paternity leave, which don't feel good. Let's see what they say. Rocksteady staff have told Eurogamer of redundancies at the studio following the underperformance of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. The company's QA department has seen its size almost cut in half over the last month. Woof. Eurogamer understands from 33 team members down to 15, with poor sales of Suicide Squad directly cited as a reason for its restructuring. The job losses extend outside of QA too. One staff member posting publicly on social media over the weekend revealed that they had been told they were being made redundant in the middle of their paternity leave. Ugh. I don't know how it works in the UK. Do we have anybody from the UK in chat? I'm sure we do. How does paternity leave work in the UK? Is it like a guaranteed 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 3 months? I know it's different. I mean, in the US, it's different like per state. So I don't know how it works in the UK, but how long is it? It's a year? You have a guaranteed year you just take off? Orem says it's a year. 2 weeks for paternity. Depends on the company. Okay, so maybe it's not as clear cut. Oh, Jesus. This is so varied. Scared Crown says in the Czech Republic we have 3 years. Oh, geez, dude. Men usually get 2 weeks off. 2 weeks for paternity, 1 year for maternity. Oh, okay. Okay, so 2 weeks for the father, a year for the mother. Okay. So in that case, he left a week ago and is getting laid off here. I was going to say, if it's a year for the dude or for the father, being let go in the middle of your paternity means like you left 6 months ago. So I was going to say like that's not that shocking. But yeah, being told like a week into your paternity leave is sucky. Warner Brothers has not commented. Rocksteady staff who requested to remain anonymous told Eurogamer that the loss of so many roles in the developer's QA department, including team members with specialized knowledge, would leave their remaining colleagues shouldered with more work. There's also been an acknowledgement from Rocksteady senior management that product quality will now suffer as a result, staff said. Staff members affected by the job cuts include numerous junior staff, but also several team members employed at Rocksteady for more than 5 years. Last month, Warner Brothers reported a 41% fall in gaming revenue year on year due to the weak performance of Suicide Squad after previously saying it had lost $200 million on the game. Work continues on Suicide Squad's year of post-launch content, though nothing has been said for what, if anything, will come next. Rocksteady's talent is so evident in Rocksteady's latest game, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, it almost overcomes the terrible decision to try and make it. Jesus. That's pretty hardcore. This comes on the back of other reporting by Jason Schreier, where he described the similar thing, loss of $200 million. But at the very, very end of his report, which again, this came out in like June 6th. At the very, very end of it, you can see many of the studio's employees are now helping to develop a new director's cut version of Hogwarts Legacy. At the same time, according to people familiar, the studio leaders are looking to pitch a new single-player game which would return Rocksteady to its roots. And then I think they'll definitely get another at-bat, said TD Cohen analyst Doug Kreutz, hopefully with something more aligned with their demonstrated talents. I think seeing them lay off QA staff, that to me suggests that this probably is not going to be a studio doing their own stuff for a bit. My understanding is that right now they're being treated basically like a support studio. So they're being used as backup for other Warner Brothers studios, and they're helping with things like maybe animation quality on Hogwarts Legacy, director's cut, whatever. They might be improving facial animations. They might be working on graphical fidelity improvements, stuff like that. Because obviously Rocksteady knows what they're doing with the Unreal Engine, so it would just make sense that they would use that expertise to help the team over at Avalanche working on that. If they're doing that, if they're being used as a support studio, in-house QA is just not that necessary. So to me, this would suggest that Rocksteady maybe will not be getting their own project for a bit. They might be treated just as a support studio for other studios within the Warner Brothers umbrella for a while, which I can't really say I blame them, Warner Brothers, that is, for approaching it that way. If I had a team or an employee or something that lost me $200 million, I would not be that confident in them if they came and said, well, let us try again. You know, like I don't think they're crazy for feeling this way. I can't say I blame them, because at the very least it shows I think they have talent. They have a lot of very talented people on the dev side of things. But I think when it comes to their decisions on what to make and why, that's where I'm a little more iffy. And so seeing them being treated more on the support side, I think that lines up with that. I think that lines up. But layoffs always suck. There's no doubt about it. As I mentioned, my dad was laid off recently, and he's still searching for a new job after a couple months. It's just something that happens in life, unfortunately. So sometimes the cookie just crumbles that way. In the case of Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, I don't think any of the people that worked in QA or any of the people that worked even necessarily in the day-to-day operations of the game are to blame for it. I think all of the problems with Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League are tied up in decisions made by the executives and by the directors and the producers, those big decision makers who chose to employ these people to work on the narrative and to work on the writing, and that went and decided to pursue this live service offering instead of just what people wanted. All of those are decisions well above the pay grade of the people that are losing their jobs here, which is what really sucks about it, is that at the end of the day, the people that are losing their jobs are the ones that did what they were supposed to do and did, by all accounts, a pretty solid job of it. You know, nobody's claiming that Suicide Squad is ugly or poorly implemented in terms of like cutscenes or cinematics or any of that stuff. It's all the bigger decisions that are problematic. And especially reading the Jason Schreier report, it's very, very telling that this was mainly a game plagued by poor direction, which is why like they worked on it for so long and basically had very, very little to show for it. And it's because the directors kept basically restarting stuff and scrapping it because they were perfectionists and didn't like the way it was coming out. So they're like, oh, change that, change this, change that, change this, even though it was totally fine. And it just kept spinning and spinning and spinning until it got too late. And we got a game that was kind of garbage as a result. So it's just too bad. It's too bad because they're clearly talented. There's a lot of talented folks, just like there's talented folks working at Firewalk that put Concord together. Those games failed not because of those individual artists or developers. They failed because of the directors and because of the executives that greenlit those projects. There's a certain amount of responsibility that lands on the executives that greenlight failed projects. And I know it's easy to just want to throw it all at the developers' feet for making the game. But again, like, I don't think you can do that. I think you have to look at the executives that cut them a check for $200 million. You know, at some point, there has to be somebody ultimately responsible. And I think that person who's ultimately responsible is the one that gives the green light to a project that everybody could have seen from a mile away was not going to work. It's nuts that the executives don't get hit at all by their decisions. I mean, you could argue they do, because it's like, oh, they don't get their bonuses, or oh, the average share price of the stock dropped by 5 or 10%, so they effectively got a pay cut. You could say that, but they're still worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. Zaslav, who's the head of Warner Brothers, Zaslav has an estimated net worth of like $400 million. So is he bummed that Suicide Squad didn't do well? Sure. Yeah. No, he's not thrilled about it. He would have liked to have it be successful, but he's going to be fine. You know, like if Suicide Squad loses $200 million for Warner Brothers, the stock price drops a little bit from $7 a share down to $6 a share, and maybe 100 million of his net worth is tied up in that stock. Yeah, it's frustrating. He's like, oh, I can't upgrade my jet this year. But for him, it doesn't matter. For these other people, the guy that's on paternity leave right now that just got laid off, he's probably having like a justifiable freak out, trying to figure out what the hell he's going to do to provide for his family. I know I would be. And he did his job. He did the job as best as he possibly could have done. It's not his fault the game flopped. I think it's pretty clear if an executive is consistently destroying everything he touches, I don't know why he should still be offered a job, why he should still be in position. Like, that's one thing that has just never made sense to me is why these executives can get away with it. He took my thing.
red flag.